Good afternoon, and thanks for joining me. This is Less is More, and I'm your host, Leslie Reed. At Less is More, we want to talk to you about the issues and concerns of our day, but we want to bring it to you in a practical way and also spiritually, so that you can grow in your well-being and have what we call a faithful prosperity. Thanks for joining me.
Sure.
It's a rare occasion when I get an opportunity to have someone in with me that I know and love from a long time, and we get to kind of talk about all things spiritual. In this particular case, I'm sitting with my good friend, my lifelong friend, 55 years, Bill?
Yes, sir.
55 years, Bill Benjamin Jr., who was running for the office of Marion County Sheriff, Democratic Party.
Correct.
And we just came here because in Bill's life, I know him. I'm teasing you, Bill. Mud Deer and Boog had you at that church.
That's right.
You was going to church in midweek too.
Right.
And so, and of course, that was the case with a lot of other people, in particular Kevin and that. But I know your faith is strong. I know from you growing up, Bill's in church on Sunday. Ain't no lollygagging.
Right.
And I know that it informs everything that you do. So we're going to talk to Bill about his faith. We're obviously going to talk a little politics. Bill will be on the next couple of weeks, so we have a chance to cover a few issues. Bill, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you having me and giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about my life, what we're trying to do.
Well, you know, in Less is More, we want to, most times Bill talk financial. We've had different people. In fact, we had Reverend Ken on, Colts.
All right.
Yeah, he came
Ken
on,
Johnson.
And Professor Maxine Bryan, some of our guests that we've had on. And typically we try to deal with things from an economic standpoint or empowerment standpoint, but we think this is important. And I'm not ashamed to say, I'm in fact proud to say, that Less is More does endorse Bill Benjamin. Leslie Reed does individually, and our show does, because we believe in the work that he will do. And so, given that, Bill, I told you, was a spiritual man. I'm going to ask Bill to give us what the scripture that God has guided him in this campaign.
You know, I like the scripture in Jeremiah 29:11, where the Lord speaking to captives, and they're looking for hope, and the Lord goes on to say that He has thoughts towards you, and thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. I use that scripture often also as I run for sheriff, when I speak to folks, to let them know that I want peace in the city,
Right.
and not evil, and that's why I'm running. And my expected end is to win, and then to go out here and work to make sure that peace happens, as it has happened for us in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12, before I retired with IMPD.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Bill. And again, I know you, and I, you know, have been able to watch the work. Very proud of you. Bill, obviously, you used 29:11. Is that which scripture? Hebrews?
Jeremiah.
As long as it's Jeremiah, I should
sir.
know that. I should know that as a minister. Jeremiah 29:11, and I've used it at times as well. But I want to ask you, given that, there had to be some reason you got in this race. What really, you were retired, as I understand, right, Bill?
Right.
And you, something pulled you off the sidelines.
Right.
What pulled you off, Bill?
You know, I'd been retired for about 5 years, and I kept watching the violence grow here in the city. This was something that we were good at in my latter years in my career at IMPD. I retired as Deputy Chief of Operations. But when, on May 6, 2017, when Dejon Anderson and Angel Alfaro were shot and killed, and then there was a third teenagers that was shot, but he did not die. I checked on that case a few days later after May 6 and learned that Dejon died from his injuries. It was a double teen homicide, which is really a high-profile, miserable case in anybody's city, and it happens in this city. But there was something special about the case that really resonated with me, which was that Dejon was the young defensive back from Warren Central, who received a full athletic scholarship to Southern Illinois University in football. And he will never be able to receive a day of that award. And plus the fact that the case is unsolved and still unsolved. And it just drove me to the point where I have some years left. I can make a difference. And I knew that the sheriff's office, the current sheriff, John Layton, was in his second term. And it was time for me to run an agency as well. And so that specific case drove me to put my name in the race and run hard, and as we call it, grind to get this victory and win this victory.
Bill, in fact, in some of the places we've been, and so my listeners know, I am with Bill. I've been with Bill since August, and one of my duties that Bill blessed me to help him with was to introduce him at churches. So I don't know, Bill, I don't know how many churches we've been to.
We've probably been to about 25 churches.
It's great, and we, unlike a lot of people, political candidates, we don't leave. We don't leave, go 10 minutes and say. We stay the whole service,
yes,
whether we're asked to speak or not.
Right.
But most of the pastors have been very gracious to us,
yes,
to allow us to speak and get our message. And as we would say, we keep the mic hot for them. And I think
right,
I believe we've added to the service. I believe we have.
Right.
And Krista has been at some of the events that we've been at. Krista
Frazier.
That's John's mother, right?
That's John Anderson's mom, Krista Frazier. Yeah.
Yes, and so it's been good. It was good to meet her and speak with her. And she's been a good help on the campaign, I understand, as well.
I mean, she wants us to win, but she's still grieving, and she still needs answers on her son's case. She is trying to gather and collect evidence within the city and farm it to the lead detective and to me, where I can do a little work on it as well. And I will never want to feel the pain that she is feeling right now. And so she's got a little movement herself in ceasing the violence here in Indianapolis,
right,
and helping youth along the way. So this is a young lady that's making sure that her son's death does not go in vain, that she's working, and she recently went back to work a couple of months ago. It took her a while to even get back to work. So if I can be of any help to her, and she knows it, she knows I'm there for her.
Well, Bill, and the reason I'm bringing it up, and this is a Christian broadcast, but we do deal in, as I mentioned in the opening, we do deal in the practical matters. And it's a practical matter, homicide, death, and these kinds of things, and crime, and those kinds of things that you're advocating. But I have to ask this question because I know you so long, and I know you to be a forthright guy and a very serious man. Politics. Tough dancing. Is it a tough? I don't want to ask. Is it a tough issue? I'm sure that there's. Again, I view you, Bill, as someone that's pretty straightforward and not politically inclined. Would be my thought about you. How's that rubbed you, Bill? The politics.
I mean, there are friends that I have that I thought would have been standing right there with me and beside me, helping out and volunteering their time and giving me advice along the way. They are not there. Of course, you are the closest thing to me when it comes to this campaign outside of my wife. But then there are strangers that have given me support and love and energy and money and spreading the word that they understand our message and they want us to win. One thing about politics, you will know where a person stands with you as you run for office. You'll find that out very quickly. And I never took the phony course. I never took the suck-up course. I never took the course of let me pick up the crumbs behind another person.
Right.
And I'm seeing that in other camps. I definitely don't want it in my camp. I was even asked when I become sheriff, will I require a driver? And that's definitely not me. I'm going to drive my own self around.
That's right.
I do not like this. A lot of people think that it's fun, that you're up, out, and in front of folks. I don't like it, but in order to win the race and to gain the position, you have to do it. So it's been hard on my family. It's been hard on my relationship with my wife.
I imagine.
Because of some of the negativity that has came our way that has, by the way, been lies. But we have run a godly campaign. We're going to stay that way, even though some nights I do kind of want to get out and do a little something.
That's right.
You know,
we're only human.
Yeah, we're only human, but we're going to stay godly, stay positive, and keep grinding and work. And at the end of the day, on May 8th, we need people to vote. And at 8 o'clock, we win. And I've been saying that all along.
Well, Bill, I'm going to get you a chance, if not this show, certainly next week, to deal with those 8s.
Okay.
Because I know it's an important number to you.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of stay on the same subject, and I'm relating it to even some things that we spoke about tonight. You know, I'm a minister. A lot of people don't know. I've been a minister for 14 years. Lots of people see me as an investment person. I'm a magazine editor and a writer and a theologian. But there's much opposition that you face, especially in your hometown, especially politically when you're trying to do the right thing. And so I tell people I'm just taking hold of that which took hold of me. I've always wanted to speak. I think I've always had some philosophical, good sense of things, and I've always been a spiritual person. I say this because I liked what I heard you say, and I'm going to let you expound on it as we close this show. And I would suggest to you, and my prayer for you is that you understand opposition. And you spoke to that. You're coming out here and you're trying to do the right thing. But I say this in this context, Bill. It is a calling, isn't it?
For me, I don't know why I would be the detective or the leader or the chief or the sergeant over a major case that in some instances gets national attention. And all of a sudden you start to work the case, and next thing you know, you have solved the case and you've done something phenomenal. So I do feel it's a calling. A lot of times I've been on cases where I had no way, didn't know which way to turn, didn't know who did what, and all of a sudden a light bulb comes on, and I start following the trail of leads, and leads after leads leads me straight to the suspect that needs to be questioned, and then eventually convicted. So it's a skill that I've never worked on. It's just it's something within me that has been positive for our city, and so I want to get back to doing that to reduce the violence in the city. Not just murders, but the rapes, the robberies, the burglaries, the thefts that go on here. Even in some instances, the human trafficking area, which is a multi-billion-dollar business in the world. So.
Well, Bill, that's a good place to kind of end this week's show, and we'll pick up next week with the human trafficking. And I want to speak a little bit about an FBI agent that spoke about you, and he said some of the same things. In fact, I was very impressed, Bill, with the things he said, and his comment was, Bill is very well suited because he knows the community, he talks well, he has the police skills, and I thought it was very impressive to hear that. And so I want to come back next week, Bill, if you come back, and we'll talk a little bit more about it and get a little more specific about politics. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us today. And as always, we'd like to thank our sponsors, RIM Group, Registered Investment Advisors, the Foundation for Financial Competency, and our print partners, Scoop Magazine, and our institutional asset management partners, Milwaukee Institutional Asset Management. We hope you'll join us next week. Bill Benjamin will be back. Vote May 8th. We appreciate you. God bless you. And as always, peace.